Hey guys, welcome to the Monsters Lair, this 19th of July 2017. It's been a while since we've done a podcast. It's been, real life has been very busy. So me and Ricky are back this podcast to talk about all things Elder Scrolls, and I suppose a chance for me to reflect on ESO, which I've been playing for the last few years, and I think Ricky's interested in my experiences and my thoughts on this, and we'll expand it a little bit more and talk about MMOs in general. So how are you doing, Ricky, over there in London?
What's up? Doing good, dude. Doing very well. Happy to be back.
Good to hear. The guy's committed. He's up at 7 a.m. in the morning before work. So we got 36 minutes to grind this out. So, Ricky, I suppose I'll just give a bit of a background for everyone, like in regards to me and ESO, and then go from there.
Sounds good.
So, man, I've been playing ESO, I think it feels like 3 years. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely when it first came out on the PlayStation platform, which is the only platform I play it on. The game obviously came out earlier than that on PC, and pretty much got shredded to bits when it first got released. And thankfully, the PC players were able to iron out all the bugs, and then I think a much prettier version came out on console. So I got a much nicer version than what the PC guys sort of dealt with initially. I'm only playing one character, which is what I usually do. On MMOs, I'm not a type of guy that has like 10 different characters. I play a dark elf sorcerer, and there's obviously, Ricky, there's a PvE element and a PvP element in the game. I'm more a PvE player. I play for the story and the questing and taking in the world, as opposed to partaking in the PvP sort of components of the game. I do like dabbling into the PvP just to see how crap I am compared to other players, and I do get astonished at how good the PvP players are. And there is some content which you have to kind of traverse your way through PvP areas to get to the PvE sort of quests and stuff, which is quite fun. You can get like sort of hacked down at any second by a really good player. But yeah, that's kind of my background. I've been playing for 3 years. I'm now at a stage where I'm playing it a lot. I'm trying to pretty much finish all the content that I can. I think subconsciously I'm ready to move on from ESO onto other MMOs which are on the horizon and coming out on PC specifically. I'm in fact just building a PC for like Ashes of Creation, which is coming out. But I love the Elder Scrolls world. If ESO wasn't based in Elder Scrolls world, I wouldn't be playing it. I'm a massive Elder Scrolls fan, and I still believe that I utterly enjoy the actual world, the races, the cultures. I buy all the books, I read all the lore, and I really appreciate the Elder Scrolls world, which to me is up there with the Star Wars world, if you like. In regards to richness and I believe that there could be 1,000 Netflix episodes built in this world, to be honest. So yeah, man, that's where I'm at the moment with Elder Scrolls Online. So we'll go from there, I suppose.
Okay, so I'm very curious about the MMO. It's been many years since I've played an MMO myself. The last one being WoW, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I've very briefly played a Star Wars one, but anyway. So in regards to ESO, How much of the content would you say you've played? I know that other Bethesda games, they give you like every time you save it, you can see how many hours you've you've delved into it. So do you know? Are you keeping track in any way?
I haven't got the hours, man, but it's a lot. I would say, I've been gaming since whatever year. I think this is the most amount of time I've poured into any game easily now. I've done like 300 hours in Skyrim, and I think I've easily superseded that with ESO. So sorry, man, I don't have a figure. I haven't even Googled to find out if you can see how many hours. I don't want to see how many hours. It's like those guys that have got like a hot rod in their garage and they've spent like copious amounts of money, building the hot rod, and you ask them like, how much have you spent? And they're like, I don't want to track how much I've spent on building this hot rod. So yeah, I have no idea how many hours, man, but I don't know. 500,000, a lot. Yeah, absolutely. And like 3 years on, I'm playing more than I ever have as well in these last few weeks. There's a bit of a game drought on PlayStation at the moment, from my point of view anyway. So I've been just pouring in even more hours now, 3 years on. So yeah, a lot.
Yeah, that's amazing, dude. It came out for your interest, June 2015 on PlayStation 4. So yeah.
Okay, 2 years then.
2 years plus, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 years and a month, yeah.
And what level is your character? And I'm not sure, is there a level cap?
Yeah, so how it works, man, is you get to level 50, which is kind of like a level cap, if you like, and then you go into this realm of champion points. So you start off, I think, at 160 champion points. The history is the leveling system went from an old system, Ricky, to a new system. I don't want to get into the details of that; it'll bore everyone. But when you hit level 50, I think you start at 160 champion points, and then you start getting champion points, which are like leveling up a little bit, but they're not as drastic as actually leveling up. So you go from 160 champion points to a cap of 630 now is the maximum. So 630 champion points is the cap. I think it's 630. I'm at 500 and something. I think I'm at 537 at last count. Ooh. So there's a lot of 630 champion point guys running around, 630s as they call them. And yeah, I'm kind of sadly looking at my levels going, it's coming towards the end, I suppose. I'll definitely try and finish all the content, but I think I will by the time I'm 630. I'm not a guy that's going to grind it out at 630 if I've got no content to play. Like I said, I'm not a big PvP guy. So yeah, only one character. How about you, man? Are you like a guy? There are guys that seem to play 10 different characters in MMOs and stuff. Like in WoW, were you like focused on one character, man, or did you have like alternates?
Yeah, I played quite a few. Just I will answer that, but just tell me. So if I think you said you're 530-ish approximately.
Yeah, 537.
And so do you get like when you level up or get more champion points? Do you go to 538 then? Or 539?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And how many hours does it take to get like from 538 to 539 or whatever?
Not too long. In fact, that every session that I sit down and play like whatever 3 hours or whatever, I would go up a champion point. If you do like a dungeon and you slay a few bosses or whatever, you might even be lucky and go up 2 champion points in a single session. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So it's pretty rapid. It keeps you hungry, I suppose. The carrot, to get to the carrot, it's not a long distance, which is probably the way they designed it. So you keep going.
Yeah. No, makes sense. Dude, I haven't played a MMO since WoW really, and I played that before any of the expansions came out. So 2004, I think it was. I played a number of different characters. Started off with a healer. I always like playing healers. Played a warrior, and I think that was it really. I played those two mainly. But I don't know whether I should be like sad about this or not, but I've never made it to whatever the level cap was at the time. I think it was level 50 or maybe 60, and I think I was about 7 levels away from getting the top level, which, that was pretty low for me, basically. A lot of my mates made it to the top, and I just couldn't grind it out, to be honest with you.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, don't know.
So you're a multi-character guy. Or were you just like exploring like different characters, or were you using one character to do something and another character to do something else, like most people do? They've got like a crafting character, they've got like a PvP character, they've got a PvE character, or were you just kind of, sampling the different professions?
No, so I've whenever it's come to the Warcraft series, I've always liked the Horde. Ever since Warcraft 2 came out and I played that, I was always Orcs, always adamant about it. And but then when the game came out, I was playing with my mates, and they all wanted Alliance and wanted to be gay elves running around. So I was a human priest. Played that for a bit, but then after a while, I was like, I want to explore the Horde. Do their quests, see their towns, all that stuff. So I wanted to play a Tauren warrior. So that's why I made the change, and that was really good. And I mean, for me, don't know about you, for me, the appeal with MMOs is exploring the environments, seeing the different cities. I really, really, really love that side of things, and the quest that you do. To me is the highlight. So. Okay, now that we've got a little bit of an idea about your character, and you're playing at a very high level of the game or end level content, what are you finding yourself doing on a day-to-day basis? You've kind of said your PvE, so does this consist of like raids of where you do 20-man raids, or you doing little quests with friends, or what do you do?
So I'm not part of a guild or anything. So I'm doing kind of quests with maybe 1 or 2 friends at the moment. So I haven't done any raids because I haven't been part of any larger group. I do dungeons. So there are dungeons scattered around Tamriel where the 4 people are recommended to do that. So I've been doing dungeons. I've been doing dungeons now by myself at the normal level, which is it's not anything amazing, because I've seen like single players take on veteran level dungeons. So the dungeons you can choose from a difficulty of normal or veteran, and veteran's a lot harder. But I'm proud of myself for doing dungeons now by myself, where it's kind of recommended to do it with 4 players. So I'm just doing all the quests and the storylines, Ricky, because that's what really I love about this game. In fact, I feel that some of the quests and stuff are better written than anything in Skyrim and Oblivion and the other Elder Scroll games. So the writing is actually very good. It's very solid, and the quests are fun, and sometimes you even have decisions to make in them, which is great. So yeah, man, running around doing quests. Now the world is made up of 3 factions, and they're all kind of battling it out. And every faction has got its own major sort of storyline, which traverses multiple zones. So what I'm currently doing today, besides dungeons and stuff, is I'm trying to finish off the 3rd and final faction storyline, which means I would have done all 3. There's been DLCs as well released over the years. I've done most of the DLCs except for Craglorn, which is like a really difficult DLC made for, again, really veteran players and groups. And Morrowind, which was obviously released a few months ago. I'm going through that as well. So I'm kind of nearly towards the end in regards to all the quests. So yeah, man, that's mainly what I'm doing, and that's mainly what a ESO session, typical session for me, involves, is kind of solo questing, and when I get stuck, I reach out to the community, and I just plead for help in the text chat, and a lot of times I have to say, they say on the consoles, the guilds and stuff are not as strong compared to the PC world, which is true, but for one or two sort of when you're stuck with a boss or you want help with the dungeon, I've quickly put it in chat, and nearly 100% of the time I have to say someone's come to help me. So, and that's fun as well. Like just with some random, I had a great time a few nights ago in a dungeon with just 4 randoms, and we had a good laugh. We just beat the boss at the end, where literally there's 4 of us in the group, and 3 of us died, and I was just standing like amongst these 3 dead guys, and for some reason the boss died at that second. So if I would have died as well, it would have kind of been start again type thing. But yeah, it was really clutch, and we all kind of gasped for air and laughed and stuff. So yeah, really good. Had a lot of fun.
Awesome. And when you are in these groups, are you doing voice chat, and that all works pretty seamlessly?
Yeah, the voice chat's pretty good. You have it's really good. You can be in. It's got several different channels. You can be in the group chat. You can be in a guild chat. So anyone who's in your guild and isn't online, you can be in a guild chat. It's also got an area chat. So if you're not in a guild or a group, you just can leave it in an area chat, which means anyone that's near your character can hear you. And there's been a lot of times, man, where like someone's just started blaring music on next to their speaker, and people have just, that, you know, obviously means that it's being broadcast in Tamriel where that character is, and people have just started dancing around this person, and I've seen scenes of like 30 or 40 people dancing, you know, around like a nightclub, literally, while they're, you know, playing, you know, Kylie Minogue songs or whatever. And then if you don't want to talk to anyone, you can actually not be in any of these channels, which I like as well. It doesn't force you to be in a channel. So if you want to just be quiet and use the text chat, you can just, you know, withdraw from these channels and just do text chat. So full flexibility. It's awesome.
Cool, man. As you know, dude, I've played a lot of Overwatch, and the last couple of months they've released dancing abilities for every character, and some people get really excited about this sort of stuff. So it's quite fun.
Is there any time to dance in Overwatch? Like, when can you dance?
For every match, you've got like 20 seconds in the lobby. So
Okay.
that's about when you take advantage of it. Or like, if you wipe out the other team, you know you're going to have about 20 seconds of downtime when they all respawn and come back. So then you might get a little bit of get your boogie on a little bit.
Fair enough.
So just talking about the online nightclub experience you've mentioned. Is there any kind of one moment that you can think of in the 2 years that you've been playing the game now that you just, for whatever reason, maybe it was a good interaction with a friend or something completely random happened on a quest? Is there anything that kind of stands out as being completely unique and you're always going to remember that one time when you did whatever?
Yeah, look, can I give you a couple?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, obviously the nightclub one was unique because I was literally just cacking myself, and everyone, it was one of those things that kept snowballing, like more and more people that were running past this scenario and then hearing the music and seeing like 20 people. Like it just kept snowballing, and more and more people just kept joining in, which I don't know, I couldn't stop laughing. So that was definitely one of the moments in regards to just interaction with people online. But
it's like a flash mob, dude. You know, when people do those choreographed routines? Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant, awesome, man. Yeah, it was awesome. And then, like, I got like 20 friend requests on PlayStation Network, you know, and one of those friend requests that you never ever speak to that person ever again, but it was still something, right? Just from that flash mob, as you say. Another moment was probably a few months ago, dude, in Craglorn, this zone, which is really difficult. There are dungeons again, which you need, you know, it's recommended to go in with 4 people. And again, being Craglorn, this is harder than the average dungeon. And 4 of us went in with me, this other lady, and these other 2 guys. And these dungeons are pretty epic, dude. There's a lot of bosses in them. There's a lot of enemies, and it takes a good like 2 to 3 hours to finish a hard dungeon, from my experience anyway. And or an hour and a half of everything's going smoothly. And as time was going on, we were kind of progressing slowly, and we kept dying, which means you kind of have to not start again, because any enemy you kill in a dungeon is dead forever. But you start from the beginning. You have to like walk all the way through back to where you sort of died. And as the night went on, one guy had to leave the party because he had to go to work the next day, so we were down to 3. And then, another hour went by, and then this other girl had to leave because she had to go to work. So it was like we were down to 2 people, and I was saying to the lady I was playing with, I was like, man, we should quit, right? Because there's no way in hell we're going to do like 2 of us against and finish off this thing. And she was like, no, well, we'll be positive. We'll try and do it. And anyway, I don't know how we did it. We managed to get to the final boss, dude. And the final boss was an epic fight. And again, it's designed for 4 veteran players. And my character was a lot weaker than it is today. And she was an awesome healer. And I think we died 28, 29 times. And every time you die, you use a gemstone to resurrect. And if you can't resurrect, or you use gemstones to repair your gear as well, every time you die, all your gear and stuff gets damaged. So, mate, we were at a point where we had no gemstones and all my gear was destroyed, and we still hadn't killed this boss. And so she left the dungeon, did some shopping, and bought this, that, and the other, and sold her horse and bought a cart and whatever just to get some gemstones and repair kits. And she came back, and I was like thinking at this stage, it was like 2:30 in the morning, man, and we had committed 4 to 5 hours, and we were so close to the end. But yet I thought we were so far. I was like, no way we're going to do this, right? Anyway, miraculously, on the 30th death, we did it. And, mate, I nearly jumped and punched the roof. It was probably one of the most ecstatic moments of my life in ESO, just overcoming this boss with 2 players. And, yeah, it was that moment probably sticks out the most in regards to just gameplay. The other flash mob moment sticks out in regards to community and stuff. There's other quirky moments where me and a few other guys, we walk into this sort of dungeon, and this is like a quirky MMO thing, right? We walk into this dungeon and we go down into these tunnels deep underground, and we go into this chamber and we're expecting to see the boss, and there is a guy sitting there on a chair, and we're thinking it's the boss. So we're all powering up our shields and casting our spells and getting ready for combat. And we walk up to him, and it's another player. And he's just sitting in this dungeon by himself, staring at a wall. And then we start talking to him, and then he joins us, and he's like, yeah, I'm a new player. I'm just, experiencing this dungeon, whatever that means. And it was just a weird moment, but it was refreshing as well. It was like something that can't be scripted, right? And that's what MMOs bring, is these unscripted moments. So, yeah, man, they're probably...
New player just going to be sitting here for an hour, just staring at a wall.
Yeah, we all went up to this player, right? And we're all looking at him up and down going, is what's going on? Why is he here? And we're all circling around this guy sitting on a chair. And, yeah, and then we went to area chat, and he started talking to us, and anyway, it was funny.
Sounds like something out of Dark Souls, that last bit where you see someone, you're not quite sure what they are, they're good, are they bad, and then...
Yeah. And then I'm sure, man, guys that are into PvP, there's a zone called Cyrodiil, the main sort of area where it's PvP, and there's huge epic fights and siege weapons and stuff. I've had some. My butt gets handed to me when I go in that zone. But I'm sure there'd be thousands of stories from that particular zone. But yeah, I haven't experienced it myself. But yeah.
So that boss that took you 4 or 5 hours to beat with that one healer. Do you know the name of the boss? Can you remember?
No, I remember the name of the dungeon. It was Shada's Tears, I think. But sorry, no, I don't remember the boss, her name. She was a female. She was a spellcaster. I don't remember her name, though.
Yeah, fair enough. Sounds like some good epic moments.
Yeah.
And so I remember when ESO kind of first came out, they very much wanted the gameplay to be as similar to a traditional Elder Scrolls game like Skyrim or Morrowind. Do you feel like that's been compromised? Has the gameplay changed over the lifetime that you've been playing it much, or has it pretty much been the same core, or is it? I've watched you a couple of times on Twitch, but I'm not too sure how much it feels like a WoW, if you will, or an EverQuest.
Man, in regards to this whole, people get on there and they're like, some haters are like, oh, well, it's not like Skyrim. It's like, dude, it's an MMO. It's never going to be at all. No MMO is ever going to feel like a single player game, especially a single player game like the Elder Scrolls sort of franchise, Skyrims and Oblivions and stuff. You can't. When you think about how an MMO has to be designed, where there's like thousands of players running around doing quests and stuff, it's never the code cannot be similar to a program that's focused on one player and everything else is an AI. It's just the laws of physics don't allow that to happen. Having said that, I feel it's as close as you can get to the Skyrim experience in an MMO. It's got the first-person view. It's got the world that's Tamriel. It's got the similar, quests and stuff. So if you wanted to just play this game single player, absolutely you can. You can play it in first-person view. I'm not as critical, and I never had the expectations that everyone else did in regards to it feeling exactly like Skyrim. So I'm kind of pragmatic about it. Yep, it's not exactly like Skyrim. I never expected it to be exactly like Skyrim, but damn, when I'm playing first-person view and I'm just by myself, and for example, with this Morrowind DLC, we got to go back to Morrowind, which was Elder Scrolls 3. The world and the music, they did it justice. They have the same music. They have the same kind of world, only 700 years earlier. But the towns and stuff were what I remembered. So, when you're playing a game, and I was playing Morrowind and I heard the music, the tune of Morrowind come in, mate, I got flashback of me playing the original Morrowind. So there's not much more I can ask of them. Yeah, I think, like I said, it's an MMO. There are some problems I'm having with MMO in general, brought on by playing Elder Scrolls, and I'm hoping the MMOs coming out in the future kind of evolve. But that's not only an Elder Scrolls problem.
Very briefly, what's it been like revisiting Morrowind as someone who I presume played every last shred of content on the original game? It must have been quite nostalgic, like you said, but has it also just been good doing the quests and everything like that, and going to playing the same map?
Yeah, man, very nostalgic, very happy to be able to revisit Morrowind. Again, it's brought back a flood of memories, not only of me playing the game, but also of me and the moment of sort of my life, when I was playing Morrowind. It's brought back a lot of memories. The music, especially when it starts playing, just brings back a flood of memories and a massive smile on my face. And the world itself, the creatures, which are very unique to Morrowind as opposed to the rest of the continent. So they have done an outstanding job in paying respects and tribute to probably the Elder Scrolls game that put Elder Scrolls on the map, which was Morrowind, which was the third one. So yeah, man, it's been awesome to be honest. Yeah, awesome, to be honest, yeah.
Great, and You mentioned, probably the last question, mate, but you mentioned that there's some things about the MMO that it's frustrated you, that you're hoping that they can fix in future games. What can you go into those a little bit?
Yeah, man. So let's start off with the ESO specific stuff, which, look, I don't have a broad experience with MMOs, so I'm sure in other MMOs they won't have this problem. But there's a real problem in Elder Scrolls with grouping, right? So when you group with someone and you're doing a quest, if someone's already done that quest, then they won't see the quest markers, or they won't see the characters of this particular quest if they've done it. So you're kind of out of sync, if you like, with someone. If someone's already done the quest and you haven't, and you're in a group, there's no advantage to grouping, right? Whereas I think they should make it such that whether or not you've done the quest, if you're in a group and player A is doing this quest, you should be able to listen in on the dialogue again. Whether or not you've done it or not, I don't care. But it allows you to kind of share the quest together. Whereas at the moment, if you've done quest A and we're grouping and you're helping me to do quest A, you will not see any of the characters. You will not which means you won't be able to partake in any of the dialogue or even like witness it or anything. You literally are watching me running around this empty landscape, if you like, talking to nobody, which is pretty lame in my book. So, and then let's say that you both have not done, if you both have not done the quest, right? And you group, and let's say you have to collect 10 mushrooms. In a lot of the cases, both of you have to collect 10 mushrooms. So there is no point of, splitting up and looking in different areas or anything like that. You both have to do the quest as if it's single player. And that's where I think they're kind of fighting to balance the single player versus the multiplayer experience. So the grouping in Elder Scrolls is flawed. And, when you talk about MMOs, it's all about freaking grouping, really. No matter how much single player you want to do, you're in an MMO after all. So, even Divinity Original Sin treats grouping a lot better. Even like Far Cry freaking 4 or whatever I played with Jeremy, which is just like a co-op first-person shooter, treated grouping better than Elder Scrolls Online. So that's my first big sort of disappointment with ESO. Another thing is, and I think with MMOs in general, the world is a static world. So the main quest line of Elder Scrolls is to defeat this Daedric prince, if you want to call it a demon, called Molag Bal. And Molag Bal is sending down these huge anchors from the heavens, which are planting themselves into the Tamriel continent, and he wants to kind of pull this continent up into his realm. So there are these huge places where anchors are falling, and you go there and you kind of break these anchors, and as the main story progresses, you end up killing Molag Bal. But again, I'm still traversing Tamriel, and there's these anchors. It's like nothing has changed, right? It's like the world has not moved on from when I was level 1. When this character was born, it's like this. The world is still extremely static, and that's something that I'm looking to future MMOs to address. And I'm not having a go at them, man, because coding this stuff is so freaking hard. Like, what I'm asking is for the servers which are running this MMO to identify who the user is, where they are in the story, and then present to them the world at that point of the story. Now, the computing power you need to do this is massive. So I'm not having a go, but at the same time, I'm getting fatigued of a static world. Like, regardless of how hard the technology is or not, it's just a true feeling that you experience of a static world, not really progressing anywhere. I wish at least the anchors weren't present in my instance of the game, if you like, because it's such a main quest to get rid of Molag Bal, and you kind of defeat him, and then you go back out in the world, and his anchors are still falling left, right, and center. So it's like, really, well, what happened? Like, it's like nothing's really happened. This static world, right.
Yeah, it's a frustration of MMOs. It's just you're in this big static world, and you've got, Jimmy who's handing out quests at level 3, and he's there for the whole entire game, and he's just standing in the one spot, and it kind of breaks that sense of realism, I suppose. It just seems too much like a game, too much like you're going to point A, going to point B, going to point C, and rinse and repeat.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly right. So
that annoys me. Sorry.
I don't know how MMOs are going to break that mold. Just the feeling of staticness within everything that you do. Whoever figures it out, I think, could potentially earn a big buck for themselves. But it's not been done so far.
Absolutely, man, which is all the hype from my end anyway in regards to Ashes of Creation. If they manage to deliver like a component of what they say, then I'm super excited. But, we have to wait and see. I suppose just to finish off, man, another thing that annoys me with Elder Scrolls, after you play it a long time, you kind of realize, you see through the matrix of the game. It's pretty much a gear grind. Now, the gear that you wear in Elder Scrolls is of utmost importance and really differentiates a powerful player from a non-powerful player. Now, thankfully, the Elder Scrolls Online shop, there is no pay to win, which is awesome, and massive respect to their shop. So I'm not talking about pay to win or anything, but it's a massive gear grind. It's a game where you have to like go and do these dungeons and then hope for a good drop, and then if you don't get the drop that you need, you go and grind for another 4 hours to hope to get the sword that you want, or the boots that you need, or the helmet that you need. And it kind of makes leveling redundant because everyone gets to a certain level, but it's really the players that are wearing the armor that can kick ass the most. So the gear grind part of it is, I'm kind of like seeing through the matrix, if you like, and realize that it is a bit of a gear grind. But I still love the game, man. I love the game. I love the world. It is what it is. It was released however many years ago, and most MMOs are the same. So I'm not going to critique ESO. I'm just sort of now licking my lips and hoping for MMOs to evolve with, more compute power in the cloud and servers and virtualization and stuff, where these guys can access a lot more compute power, and with faster internet links, they might be able to make dreams come true. Who knows?
Yeah, a true dynamic world. Exactly right, mate. You never have to leave the house again.
Yeah, man. So, that's the ESO experience that I've had over the last 3 years. It's a game that does keep getting better as well. It was off to a rough start, but it's like fine wine. It gets better and better with time. The developers have put a lot of effort into keeping it going, and new DLCs and new game modes like Battlefield. So you can kind of play like a Overwatch type MOBA game into it. They've introduced these 4-on-4-on-4 type Battlefield as well, Ricky. So yeah, man, it's still definitely, for me anyway, I'm a massive Elder Scrolls fan. It's one of my favorite games at the moment.
Good to hear, man. It sounds like a really, really fun game, and like you say, the developers keep pumping into it. So, yeah, man, I if I was to play an MMO, I reckon that would be the one.
All right, man. So I think that's all the time that we have. So thanks, Ricky, for sharing my Elder Scrolls experience. I think I've always wanted to have a rant about ESO. It's a big part of my gaming sort of rotation the last few years. And thanks for everyone for tuning in the monster's lair, where the fire is warm and the tales are slightly inaccurate. But yeah, man, thanks, Ricky. Thanks, man, and
cool,
until next time, Ricky, take care, man.
Catch you later.
See you, mate. Take care. Oh, yeah.